everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Make some noise and clap it up, get excited. Wherever you are, we are back with another action-packed show for you today, covering the world of boxing and basketball, as we always do with Team USA, taking home gold in the Olympics. How does this stack up to the Dream Team and the Redeem Team? Is this the best team of all time? And on the boxing end of the spectrum with Canelo versus Berlanga, we're going to predict that fight, break it down, how exactly is this going to go, on top of recapping Virgil Ortiz versus Bohachuk in a fight of the year contender. And did the wrong man win in Virgil Ortiz? And if so, why did it happen? Oh, we got so much to talk about on this show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And without further ado, before we even get started, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know, so we keep on building up this empire of a community together. Yes, indeed, we still gaining subscribers, gaining followers, gaining some loyal members of this great community. And if we keep on building, we can make magic happen, all thanks to you and your support. But again, all that self-promotion aside, let's jump right into the world of sports. And since we're talking about boxing, no. Before we talk about boxing, have to discuss basketball, because Team USA has now earned the title of Olympic champions, earning gold in this year's Olympics. That is right, we are the best of the rest, as we have gone and toppled everybody, beat Serbia in an absolute thriller of a comeback game, beat France in this game, beating Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert and Evan Fournier. But both were on the backs of one man, and that was Steph Curry. Steph Curry had 36 in the last game versus Serbia, had 24 in this game, went 8 of 14 from the field, 8 of 13 from three. Every shot he made was a three-point shot, and it was sublime to watch him go to work. And every time he hit something, it just demoralized France, absolutely gutted him. And in the fourth quarter, this man went crazy. 4 3-pointers back to back, going in and absolutely toppling France on his own, eating it with a dagger, with a step back three from about 30 over two people. I believe it was Evan Fournier and Nicholas Batum close out on the double team. Still arced it high, arced it long, and absolutely hit that thing wet like water. It was ridiculous. It was insane. It was stupid. That's what it was. And it just, I tell you, if you go on TikTok, go on social media, go on Twitter, don't matter where, go look up France and France basketball. They are in dire straits, not seeing for the first time in person, live, exactly what makes this brother so good. He solidified himself as being the best in the world as a shooter, the greatest shooter that we have ever seen in basketball history, hitting the greatest shot we'll ever see in Olympic basketball history. I will attest to that to Kingdom Come. There is no greater shot in Olympic basketball history better than what Steph did against France to put the dagger in the coffin for Olympic gold on the side of the U.S. It was sublime. It was ridiculous. And I'll be the first to say it. This was the first time I could root for Steph Curry openly, freely, without any remorse, without any feeling bad, without any drawbacks. Because normally when I watch Steph, I'm unbiased in the analytical world. Don't get me wrong. No, I'm going to call it like it is. I don't care how I feel. But how I feel was that I was sick of Warriors fans. I was tired of them. I got friends that are Warriors fans. I got friends that are Steph fans. They're all annoying. They're all horrible. They're all terrible. They are all entitled. They are all so blessed to have the ability to be just blissfully ignorant of the struggles of the rest of the basketball world, and everybody, in the fact that everybody doesn't have just a well-organized basketball organization, let alone backed by the best shooter we've ever seen. And then you add on Kevin Durant to that stacked roster with Andre Iguodala. No, it wasn't fair. For about 6 years, it was just outright misery to go and watch the Warriors. It was terrible because you knew there was nothing you could do to stop them. Now being able to be on the other end of that spectrum, my gosh, being able to cheer for Steph Curry openly as this is my guy, this is insane. Is this what Warriors fans got to experience every single time Steph got put out on the floor? Just the sheer confidence of I'm gonna see something spectacular, but whatever it is, I'm gonna still be shocked by it. The ridiculous nature that Steph Curry plays at truly got put into perspective when you are rooting for him, because it's ridiculous that this man is doing this to everybody. Now, when you put him on your team that you can root for, it's like, oh, this is a circus. This is dinner and a show. This is the equivalent of watching Gervonta Davis fight, of watching Mike Tyson fight, in terms of you want to sit down and watch and see what this brother's going to do, because if you look away, you may miss some ignorantly spectacular affair that Steph pulls up. And I use that ignorantly spectacular because it's stupid. It's almost nonsensical. It seems impossible that there's a brother out there that can shoot like this. Yet, listen where we are. And Steph carried this team on his back. My gosh, it's a weight off my shoulders being able to cheer for Steph. It was insane. And this man showed up when the biggest moments counted. However, there's an argument that people are saying that he should be MVP. Well, let's just put that to bed right now. No, absolutely. Anybody saying that Steph should have been MVP based on this game is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. If it's based off Serbia, again, it's stupid. Yes, he had some of the biggest breakout performances. No, that doesn't change. But the fact that what he's done over the course of this Olympic tenure, it wasn't great. He was of the superstars on his team, he was the weakest link up until about 3 games into the medal rounds. 3 games before the gold medal round. It was abysmal. He wasn't shooting great. He was shooting horrible, if we're being completely honest. And who was the man or the men that were carrying the show for the majority of this time? LeBron James and KD. Again, that's why we got everybody on this roster, the Avengers. Because if one goes down, anybody else can take their place. And with KD and Bron, they did that in spades. It was phenomenal. Watching these 3 be able to play together was just insane. The chemistry between KD and Steph back from when they played on the Warriors. The newfound chemistry that we always assumed would happen, but never actually got to witness between LeBron and Steph Curry. My gosh, you want to talk about a nightmare scenario. If they ever somehow team up in the NBA actual season and during the NBA regular season, that would be a nightmare. That would be ridiculous. That would be unstoppable. One of the greatest duos in NBA. You could argue that might be that's up there with the greatest duo in NBA history. Steph and LeBron will be up there with Steph and KD. His argument might be better than Steph and KD. It's up there with Shaq and Kobe. It's up there with Magic and Kareem. It's up there with Jordan and Pippen. This argument is better than Jordan and Pippen. As a duo, that's ridiculous if they ever played together. But the chemistry was just a beautiful thing. And being able to see all these people come together and really show, my gosh, this is basketball at its finest. It was something to behold. It was ridiculous. And the MVP of this entire night was LeBron James. In an insane feat, this man at near 40 years old is still somehow, some way, the best player on Team USA, the best player in the world, at least per by the Olympics, with him winning Olympic MVP over Nikola Jokic. This was a brother, he still averaged at this age, at this stage in his career, averaged 14, about 5 and 8 for the entirety of his tenure in the Olympics. It was ridiculous. This is a man who was still, he is putting up better numbers in this year's Olympics than he did in 08 and in 12 on the Dream Team, or on, I guess, Dream Team 2.0. Oh, no, the Redeem Team. I'm sorry. Excuse me. On the Redeem Team and in 2012. It's ridiculous. In 08 and 02, he's putting up better numbers than he's ever put up in his Olympic tenure. And he was more athletically gifted at that point in time, and the athleticism hadn't left his body yet. At least it still hasn't left him, but it was far and away a whole lot more springy, spry, fast, and just outright physically imposing and physically dominant. It makes no sense at all that this is a brother who is still shooting in 08, 60% from the field. In 12, 60% from the field. This Olympics, 60% of the field. Averaged 15 points in the Olympics in 08 and 012. Averaged 14.3 in this Olympics while shooting better percentage from three than he's ever shot in his Olympic career. On top of doing all of that at the highest efficiency he's ever played at in his Olympic tenure. And the brother did this in less minutes than he did on the 08 and 012 team. Excuse me, 08 and 2012 Olympic squad, when he was one of the driving forces of those squads, behind Carmelo Anthony and behind Kevin Durant, respectively, when they played on those respective teams. It's ridiculous. This is stupid. This is absolutely stupid. This should not be, but it is. This man was the most consistent and dominant player that Team USA had. That's just the fact of the matter. Yes, KD had insane scoring numbers. Don't get me wrong. But LeBron was the second best scorer on this team, both by the stats and by just objectively watching. It was insane. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Steph had, 15.3? No, 14.8 points for Team USA on average. LeBron had 14.12. On on the best efficiency on the entirety of the roster, while still being the best passer on his team, and still being able to get boards, sacrificing his body, doing everything necessary as the best player in the world, at least by the Olympic standard. And for Olympic MVP at this age with a gold medal, it's a testament to just how great he is. It just is. How great LeBron is at this stage makes no sense in the world. This is a feat of dominance we will never see again. This is getting up there with Wilt Chamberlain levels of mythic proportions of nobody can be this good this late in their career. Wilt had stories going, not even stories, just facts. From early in his career all the way to the day that he died. From the women he slept with, all the way up to him being a Hall of Famer in volleyball, all the way up to beating Magic Johnson in his prime in practice by not letting a shot get touch the rim. When he was near 50, years out the league, just came in just to show up and see what he could do to help in practice. It's insane. There's not the amount of records he has, the amount of just the longevity of he's still doing stupid stuff was insane. And with LeBron, we're getting that same era or aura of just every single time something happens, it's like, what the world? This is ridiculous. This is impossible. That's what we're looking at with LeBron. And to be almost 40, win gold medal and final and Olympic MVP for the entirety of the tournament on the best team in the world with, mind you, the best competition that Olympic basketball has ever seen collectively. Yeah, no, it's preposterous, but it's insane. And when it comes to what this team stacks up against versus the best teams that we've ever seen in terms of Olympics, Dream Team, Redeem Team, this team. Shout out to also the 1996 squad with Shaq, Hakeem, David Robinson, all in their prime, Penny Hardaway, Scottie Pippen, and a slew, I do mean a slew, of other in their prime contenders. Gary Payton, I can go down the list. It was ridiculous. Grant Hill, before injury, it was ridiculous. This squad, though, might be better than all of them. Yes, the aura of the Dream Team is undoubtedly so. We get that. The revenge story of the Redeem Team with Kobe, LeBron, Wade, all of it, phenomenal. There is no going against that. Absolutely. But when it comes to this squad, from the collective of talent, from how versatile this team is, as well as against the competition that they went up against this year. Again, this wasn't like 1990. This wasn't like 92 when you had Tony Kukoc or Arvydas Sabonis in his prime before he got to the league, I believe, and a couple other players here and there that were in the NBA that was scattered across the landscape of basketball as a whole. No, this wasn't like that where the talent was just so far when we put our best out there. When we committed to putting the best of the best that we got. There was no contest because nobody was ever that close to our level of basketball, just prowess. '08 got better. Yes, indeed, it did get better in terms of the world. And we were saying it would catch up, but still, we put up the most points in Olympic history, I believe, with that squad. And then we go to this team. And with the talent around the world, now, most of the best teams are touted by a former MVP. Giannis in Greece, Serbia with Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP caliber player. Every single country had somebody that was reputable. France, Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama, the Twin Towers, Evan Fournier, the brother that dunked on LeBron that nobody had ever heard of, all of a sudden, boom, showed up and showed out. Also, that footage might never be seen again, potentially knowing how that media team works in clutch sports. But everybody on the world was up to the challenge, was up to par. There was a level of, okay, we're looking at this squad across the board, and we know it's great, and still other teams, in terms of how they play, is able to at least compete. We'll win, but it's able to compete. This is the best pool of talent that Olympic basketball has ever seen, from top to bottom. It just is it's the truth. It just is the truth. From Australia with Patty Mills to, again, Nikola Jokic on Serbia, to France, Victor Wembanyama, who's going to have him for years to come, and Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier, Dylan Brooks, regardless of what you want to say about him, is a good defender. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like I said, on Canada. It's just I'm forgetting people. That's how many people of actual NBA ability are out in the world right now. It's insane. And we still pulled it off. And it was like, my gosh, this may be, from a versatility standpoint and just an outright big three trio, this might be the best team that we've ever had, collectively. I'm serious. Because if you want to go back and look at the 92 team, Magic was going out of his prime. Bird was well out of his prime with his back injuries. Couldn't even sit on the bench. Had to lay down. John Stockton was great, don't get me wrong, phenomenal. Got Christian Laettner because you didn't want Isaiah Thomas, or Knicks, another great all-star, Hall of Famer on your team for political reasons with Michael Jordan and others. And, I mean, again, the team was great, don't get me wrong. Up until that point, was the best team that the NBA had ever put together. We were confident in that. Again, the 96 team was incredibly good as well. Coming into his prime, Shaq, right before he left for the Lakers, like I said before, Hakeem Olajuwon in his prime, Dave Robinson in his prime, Charles Barkley in his prime, right off of an MVP, Gary Payton, a Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton, a player that went to the finals, 1996, Gary Payton, the man who stopped Jordan from averaging 29 to 23 in that series, Gary Payton, when he got put on him man to man. It was an incredible roster, but against all of them, this team, with Anthony Davis playing the way that he was defensively, with Bam Adebayo being a versatile defender and an underrated three-point shooter I didn't think he had at his disposal. Next thing you know, he's actually able to stop and pop, to pick and pop, and pull up from three and space the floor. Joel Embiid being MVP of the league, one of the most dominant players that we have in the game today, came up and showed up. One of the other biggest reasons why we were able to come back against Serbia and in France in this game. Kevin Durant, who's playing better than he played when he was in his prime in, I believe, 12, when he first played with the Olympic team. And Steph, again, being Steph. There's no other thing to say. Jason Tatum, who just won a championship and was seen as a top 10 player, though I disagree. The majority of the people said he's a top 10 player, and he was playing abysmal, but he was just riding the bench. And then when he actually got in and got his groove going, hey, still able to be versatile. Derek White, incredible fit piece for the squad. June Holiday, best perimeter defender that we have on the NBA as a whole. And is incredible as not just a fit piece, but also a leader in his own way. A guy that does everything right. We don't lack anything. We got size, we got strength, we got shooting, we got defense, we can run out in transition, we got athleticism, we got IQ. Halliburton didn't even play, and we got one, and he's one of the best passers in the NBA outright, and one of the best three-point shooters outright. And he didn't even touch the floor. This is a real squad that we can argue. You put him against some of the best teams ever assembled, it's going to be hard pressed to say that they can't beat him. It really is. It really is. I'm not trying to be all hot takey. No. You compare what these people are doing now and the level of competition they're doing it against versus some of the great teams of the past. Though they were great, don't get me wrong. There's a real argument that this team might be better. At minimum, this is the greatest big three we've had in Olympic history with LeBron, KD, and Steph. That's no question. Outside of, again, Kobe, LeBron, and Wade, or Kobe, LeBron, and KD, this might be the greatest trio we've ever had in basketball together. LeBron, KD, and Steph. And Steph didn't even show up until late in the tournament. And still, you saw the impact. It was insane. So no, I'm not trying to speak in hyperbole. I'm being real. This may be the greatest team that we've ever seen. This may be the greatest team we've ever assembled as a whole. If you disagree, please comment in the comment section below. But right now, this team's bad in the best way possible. This team is bad. But again, now that we got it out the way, we have to talk about the rest of the sports world, like in boxing, and we have to break down Virgil Ortiz versus Bohachuk in an absolute barn burner fight. Since we're talking about boxing, it is time to step into the ring. Oh yes, that's right. Ring the bell, let's get it started. Round one of the show going underway as we discuss Ortiz versus Bohachuk, and this was a fight of the year. No, I'm calling it right now. This is the fight of the year as of right now. Ridiculous action all throughout from round one on. There was not an inch of law. Everybody was going at it. Virgil Ortiz, a great knockout artist, incredibly high motor, incredibly great technically, and an incredible puncher. Just incredible all around as a fighter. Going up against Bohachuk was a barn burner. And we got to see potentially the wrong man win in Virgil Ortiz. Though Virgil won by unanimous, or by majority decision, one judge had it at a draw. I didn't see that. I really felt that we saw Bohachuk outdo Virgil Ortiz, and he should have gotten that victory. I really do. And the reason being is because as we break down the fight, it was Virgil Ortiz's speed versus Bohachuk's, while slower speed, power. Because Bohachuk knocked Virgil down in the first round. It might have called him off balance, but even still, it was a knockdown. We thought it was almost missed, but they overturned it. Solidified as a knockdown. Ortiz was coming back trying to throw and really get his get back and was being successful. Again, had that speedy jab, had those fast punches going to the body, consistently great combination punching and fighting on the inside. And he was having success. But it was when Bohachuk started getting his own rhythm, fighting on the inside of Ortiz, meeting Ortiz at his own domain and still getting the better of him. That's where stuff got interesting. And we were seeing Virgil Ortiz, yes, he was landing. Yes, he was hitting. Yes, he was being very effective. But Bohachuk, in my estimation, was landing the cleaner shots on the inside. Where the action was being controlled was when they were head-to-head, literally head-to-head with each other, trading blows. And what I saw Bohachuk having more success, landing cleaner shots with arm punches and still doing damage. Had cut up Virgil Ortiz, was landing hooks and uppercuts on the inside, through and around the guard of Virgil when they would clash, was blocking the body attack of Virgil Ortiz, even though, yes, Ortiz by CompuBox numbers landed more than Bohachuk. That still doesn't change the fact that the cleaner work when they were working on the inside came from Bohachuk. It did. It just did. Not to mention, knocked him down again in the, what was it? He did enough to win the WBC interim super welterweight title. That's what should have happened. It should have been. And the wrong man won. But it was an incredible fight. But why is it that Bohachuk lost, though he had all this success? It was because of Terrence Crawford. Yes, his name's been all throughout the ringer. Oh, yeah. Everything has been connected when it comes to Terrence Crawford. And for this fight, same thing's true. Reason being, Turki Al-Sheikh said he wanted Crawford to fight Virgil Ortiz if Virgil Ortiz won. Virgil Ortiz was the marquee man that was expected to win in this fight, though it was supposed to be an incredibly good affair. But with the fight being close, there was an argument, and we've seen this before, that stuff got pushed by the powers that be to be lenient towards Ortiz to be able to win. Now, again, I'm not trying to do conspiracies. I'm not trying to throw any sort of fake wrench into the works as to why, ooh, this might have been what. No, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. But this is a real argument that this could be real. And that though Bohachuk did do enough in my estimation, did do better work on the inside, did have more success when it came to nullifying Ortiz's high-powered offense and landing his own offense inside, where Virgil Ortiz loves to work, as well as when he was landing that straight right hand and utilizing the jab of his own, also helped balance out the jabs that we were seeing Virgil be able to utilize and land early on in the fight. And a lot of that stuff was getting blocked. This is a real situation where Ortiz might have won to set up a bigger fight. Not necessarily because Ortiz actually did win the fight outright. Now, I would love to see a rematch of these two. Let's not get it twisted. I'd love to see a rematch of these two. No problem at all with it. Absolutely. And again, if you feel Ortiz won, no problem there. I can completely see why. I can completely see it. Objectively, I can see it. But I just feel that Bohachuk should be the man to have a shot at facing off against Terrence Crawford if they want to put Terrence Crawford in another title opportunity for an interim belt to potentially face off against either Errol Spence Jr. or Sebastian Fundora, depending on who wins that, to have the actual titles at their disposal, with him being a mandatory. That is what all this is about. Who is going to be the man to face off against either Spence or Fundora once their fight happens, if that fight does happen, as is being rumored to be put together. But with Crawford, he is the man who was pitted by Turkish Al-Sheikh to be the guy that they want to keep on pushing. They want to capitalize on the momentum of Errol Spence Jr. and him dominating that victory. With that being the case, now him moving up to 154, beating Madrimov, though it wasn't in dramatic fashion, still winning, but in a very close affair. Turned everybody off to Canelo. Now, what's the next best thing? Well, Turkey doesn't want Canelo either. So what do? Go after Virgil Ortiz, another fighter who comes forward, an incredibly high action, high powered, high motor fighter who's incredibly tough, who will fight through anything, who will bring the fight to you, who's got the power to knock you out, and the actual ability to put stuff together, to trap you, hurt you, and end you. Oh, he's a smart fighter, and he's an aggressive fighter. And he doesn't run out of stamina. He's got all the tools to give Crawford a whole bunch of trouble, but at the same time, make the fight an exciting fight. And also, isn't as hard to figure out as Madrimov in terms of from an unpredictable perspective, similar to what we talked about with Canelo, though he is incredibly dangerous in terms of Virgil Ortiz. Hence, Crawford can have potentially a better display, a more dominant and eye-catching victory, bolstering up his cachet, name, resume in the eyes of casual fans and diehards as well. Next thing you know, boom, gets back interest for the Canelo fight potentially, or makes it so that the fight with Fundora and potentially Errol Spence Jr. gets blown up even more. Because my gosh, look at what he did against a heavy hitter and a dominant fighter in Virgil Ortiz. An undefeated fighter, I believe, in Virgil Ortiz. This is, it's all, again, boxing is a business. As much as we hate it, boxing is a business. You want people to get their money? Promoters want their money. This could be why we saw Ortiz not get the victory. Again, not saying he does not deserve the win. Though I think it's the wrong decision, I can see why people would think he won. Why the judges can see him winning. I don't think it was the right decision. But again, in a fight that close, I understand. But I think the wrong man won. I truly do. And I think it was because they want to set up Terrence Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz as the next fight. And what should be happening is Crawford versus Bohachuk, as Bohachuk should be the rightful winner, rightful WBC interim titleist, and be the man to face off against Crawford. But the name isn't big enough, and the perceived action, even with his performance, won't be enough to draw people in to bring the requisite money. It's a shame, but I think that's why this is happening. I hate it, but this is boxing. Politics run this sport more than anybody wants to admit, and even more than people already do admit. Because that's the case. This is why we're seeing these types of decisions. And I hate it because a great fight is ruined by a decision. While, again, it's not a robbery. It's one that leaves a big taste in the mouths of people. It really does. It really does. Because it really doesn't give us the satisfaction of the right man won in a phenomenal fight. We can give him his flowers. And we can give the loser flowers, not because they are a loser, but because they're a warrior. And we would love to see that again. But the right man won. That's what we want to say. But now, great fight, two great contenders, but now the winner is getting flack and the loser is like, you were wronged. Or the loser is being told, you were wronged. And it muddies and sullies what should have been an incredible night of boxing. Now, don't forget, on Top Rank, we had a knockout of the year that very same night, directly after this fight. It was a great night of boxing all around, but sullied by a bad decision. Again, it's not a robbery, because it was incredibly close. But it was a bad decision, no doubt about it. And the wrong man won, in my estimation. And it's due to the politics of wanting to get Crawford and Virgil Ortiz in the ring to fight each other. That is wholeheartedly why. That's wholeheartedly why this happened. It's absolutely why this happened. And speaking of politics in the boxing realm, we had to talk about Canelo versus Berlanga and predicting that fight outright, because the politics of boxing have been essentially backing Canelo to let him do what he wants. Again, he can do what he wants because he's what? The face of boxing. That still doesn't mean he shouldn't be critiqued for what he does. And what he's done is fighting Berlanga. And we already talked about how bad this fight is. You've already talked about how nonsensical and how horrid and how terrible, utterly preposterous this fight is to take on against somebody who's done nothing in the boxing realm. Absolutely nothing. Only thing he's done was beat McCrory in his last fight. Again, his best fight of his career to date. And even then, it's like, brother, you showed us nothing to say you can do anything against Canelo, let alone deserving this shot at all. At all. Yet he's getting it. And I hate it. I hate it to my core. But we still got to cover it. We're still going to break it down. How exactly can Edgar Berlanga win against Canelo? Is there any possible way that Canelo can lose and potentially get knocked out by Edgar Berlanga? Well, absolutely not. But if there was, I would say it's because of two things. Power, strength. That's about it. That is about it. The only things that Berlanga has at his disposal. Now, granted, I will say this. Berlanga, in his last fight against McCrory, had his best outing to date. No question there. That's no question there. This was his best fight against McCrory. And he showed better defense, showed better patience. He showed a better willingness and IQ to do what was necessary instead of always looking for the KO outright and being stupid. He was more methodical, was able to actually think inside of the ring. It was a surprisingly well-mannered, actually thoughtful, intellectual fight to some degree for Edgar Berlanga. This is not me trying to just say, oh, no, he's a bum. But he's a bum. That's what he is. He is a bum, an outright bum when it comes to the world of boxing. Because at least in the realm of Canelo, because he's done nothing. Again, 22-0, 17 KOs. Most of those KOs have come in the first round against bums. And with those bums, he's done nothing, or he was able to clean them out. But after he got into a actual competitive scene, relatively competitive, didn't get knocked out for about, 6 fights? Up until the McCrory one. And it's like, it's so frustrating. Again, even with the good of Berlanga, he's got a fast jab. He's got fast hands in general. Has power. Yes, he does. That's undeniable. It is undeniable. He's got power. He does have power. And then, that's about it. And he's learned somewhat. But that's all he's got against Canelo. Everything else, he's a bum. He is an outright. In fact, this episode of the Welch Report is brought to you by the letter B. And the letter B of the day stands for, spell it out with me, B-U-win. Outright bum. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, he's bad. He's horrible. In the realm of Canelo, he is an outright scrub. Scrub, I tell you. This brother, when it comes to Canelo, can do nothing to fight and win. You know why? Because his problems are almost too many to count. Even with the improvements that he's made. What does he do? His defense has so many holes in his game. He can get caught with the jab, with any jab, be relatively quaint to the body or to the head, because he doesn't keep his guard tight. He doesn't move his head in the slightest when he goes on defense. Everything about him is all offensive. If he jumps back, he doesn't really have great footwork. He's got great athletic ability. What does that mean? He will jump back, but he won't actually move out the way to be strategic. Take, for example, you throw a jab and you feint at him. He will jump back 5 feet into his own corner and take away whatever real estate he gives or he got in a fight. And he'll do that constantly. And he will bite on everything, especially if you're a punching threat. He will bite on everything. There is so much that this brother does that just irks me to the core because he doesn't do anything, but he's getting this opportunity. Consistently, he will put himself to the ropes if you just feint at him. If you go roar at him, you wink at him, he'll still jump 3 feet away immediately. He gets out of range of everything, which I get if you want to be defensive, but even still, you take away, you can't do anything after. You give up so much real estate that now you got to work to get it back. Especially if somebody comes forward to you, now you're stuck at the ropes. Speaking of being stuck at the ropes, the brother can't get off the ropes. Again, he's athletic, doesn't have any footwork. The man still, or has never, been able to get out of the ropes and get back to safety with his feet. If he gets in the corner, he will cower. He will look to counter, don't get me wrong, but he will be cowering in terms of only shelling up and doing nothing else and just take punishment or try to clinch. And against Canelo, we know that's not going to work, because if he gets you in the corner constantly, like he loves to stalk people down, you will be a piece of meat against a lion like Canelo. You will see the same thing we saw from Jermell Charlo, and Jermell Charlo had the excuse of I'm 154 moving up to 168. Hey, I just can't take the power. All I can do is cower. Edgar Berlanga is the same size as this brother, and he still can't do a doggone thing because he's a bum. That's what all this boils down to. He's a bum, outright bum. It's horrible. Every single time he overcommits on his punches, never is actually able to throw something with him being flat-footed or with him being on balance. If you make him miss, you will have all the time in the world to pay. Granted, again, the hand speed, understandable. It's there. But my gosh, the openings after he throws is copious in many. And you can get caught and knock him down. In fact, people that don't have power have knocked him down and stunned him because of the fact that they caught him when he was off balance. This brother, so much stuff. On top of his offensive game plan, he's one-dimensional. Doesn't even throw out his jab a whole bunch, even though he has a decent jab with his hand speed. It can be a strong jab. It could be a stiff jab. He doesn't use it at all. He will look for that left hook to counter you, and then after that, he will just go for big shots. Again, quick hands, but still big shots. And the problem with Berlanga, most of all, or two problems actually. Number one, he fights dirty if you get him frustrated. Oh yeah, you start clench him up and get him mad. He'll elbow you like he elbowed McCoy. He'll bite your ear or bite your arm, bite something like he did in the last fight where he got suspended for. Oh yeah, Mike Tyson ain't the only one that got a taste for flesh. No, Edgar Berlanga does. And he'll do it, and he will fight dirty. He will fight reckless. He will go low multiple times. Oh yes, he will. That's problem number one. And you do that against Canelo, well, now you're awakening another slumbering beast. A Canelo that wants to win is a whole dominant force. A Canelo that wants to end you is a completely different animal entirely. A mad Canelo is insane. Look at what he did to James Kirkland. That's what a mad Canelo would do. This is his biggest weakness. Problem number two. Two. The biggest weakness with Canelo, with Berlanga. If Berlanga cannot fight going forward, he loses almost all of his offensive ability. If he cannot fight moving forward, he has no way, shape, or form of fighting on the back foot. There is nothing he can do outside of a check left hook that he has at his disposal to fight on the back foot while being pressured. His power and strength are what he relies on to get in and to be able to impose his will. You take that away from him, like Canelo will be able to do, because he's much stronger than Berlanga, much faster than Berlanga, much more sharper than Berlanga, a lot more accurate than Berlanga, and a lot more just outright a better fighter than Berlanga. You take that away from Berlanga, he becomes a sitting duck. Again, cower in the corner and run the ropes, succumbing to pressure that isn't even there. All because he's so adamant on getting so far out of danger that once he gets his back to the ropes, well, he doesn't know how to get out. You get somebody that can cut off the ring like Canelo, end him, will destroy Edgar Berlanga. This fight is such a horrid situation. Berlanga has no footwork, nowhere close to any level of offensive or defensive or just boxing IQ as a whole. Doesn't have any ring generalship. Is so one-dimensional, it's painful. And for all the talk that he has, he can't back it up. We know he can't back it up. When he went up against better competition, he didn't back anything up because he won, but none of us were impressed because it was like, what happened? Where'd that power go all of a sudden? The world. You don't just lose. You don't just start knocking out 10, 12 people in a row. Most of them in the first round, eking up to Mike Tyson's record of most first round knockouts. And then afterwards, you become nothing. Now, even in your wins, we're like, ooh, that wasn't a good win. That is what Edgar Berlanga is. He is a statue built on the bricks of the past because the current foundation is failing. That is what Edgar Berlanga is. He is a bona fide scrub and a bum when it comes to the next generation of boxing. Yes, he is. I have no problem saying that because that's what he's shown. His undefeated record is a lie on his actual ability. And I hate the fact that he's getting this opportunity over other people who should be able to be much more inclined to have an opportunity to fight. Canelo, absolutely. This is preposterous. It's ridiculous. This is not good at all. And Canelo is going to destroy Berlanga in less than 5 rounds. I'll call it round 5 outright. Do not be surprised if he gets knocked out in 2. If Canelo doesn't want it to go for long, and with all the talk that Berlanga's been talking, he just wants to get him out of there, he can end this fight in 2 rounds. We can see a Mike Tyson level of destruction and performance. Or If he wants to toy with Berlanga all night long, get him frustrated, get him mad, make him look like a fool to where everybody looks at him as a laughing stock of boxing, he'll stretch it out to about 6 and then knock him out. I don't see this fight going past 7. I guarantee that. My pick, knockout in round 5. Honestly, off of a left hook by Canelo and or an uppercut and or a right hand. One of those 3 punches. Because those are the things that can get Berlanga. He got caught with the uppercut left hook combo against McCrory, was getting caught with right hands by McCrory. Bodywork of McCrory was doing good as well. A bunch of stuff can get him in trouble because he is no trouble at all when it comes to Canelo. Canelo will eat him alive and destroy Berlanga in round 5. That's what I got. If Berlanga somehow shocks the world, this will be the biggest upset since Ruiz versus AJ. This might be on par with Tyson versus Buster Douglas. This would be preposterous that this brother, this bum of a fighter, goes and beats Canelo. That's just, my gosh, that would rock the entire boxing world and put Canelo on take Canelo off that pedestal. My gosh. You lose to Floyd, Bivol, and then all of a sudden you drop down and one of your third losses is to somebody, Edgar Berlanga. Shoot. That might actually ruin your legacy, as crazy as it may sound. And we're big on legacy talk. We're big on what solidifies it and what can actually break or build it up. This would be so detrimental. We would actually be looking at Canelo differently, so much differently, if he went and lost to Berlanga. It would be like, there's no way. Yeah, don't fight Benavidez now because now we know you couldn't beat him. If you lose to this bump, this scrub, this absolute horrible fighter in Edgar Berlanga. There's nothing that he has going for him. Nothing that Berlanga has outside of power and strength and a left hook. Because of that, he'll get caught, he'll get dropped, he'll get turned around, he'll get destroyed. And Canelo will end that brother in 5 rounds. Guarantee it. Because he's going to carry on me. It's going to knock him out easily. It won't be a contest. But with all that being said, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. And please leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to the channel and share the show. Everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together. My gosh, it's been so much fun. We're going to be back next week for much more to come. Don't get it twisted. Don't go anywhere. Go look at the backlog of other shows that we got. We've been talking about so much in the world of boxing and just in sports in general with basketball and boxing. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here.